As educators, I know that you're not only dealing with the uncertainty and upheaval and the changes that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought to your personal lives, your families, your homes, but you're also grappling with switching from online to in-person classrooms. You're dealing with adjusting to new schedules and new ways of being as a teacher in this new world. Navigating new schedules and a new way of functioning as a teacher. It's not surprising that so many educators are expressing stress and burnout and overwhelm. Well, the goal of this webinar is to remind you that you first belong to yourself. Self-care is about acknowledging that no one is going to take care of you like you will take care of yourself. It's about acknowledging that you're 100% responsible, that you're 100% responsible for your wellness, health, and overall well-being. I am a professor, the capstone faculty at Walden University, and I also am an executive empowerment and leadership coach. And in addition, I'm a belonging strategist. And people often ask me, what does it mean to be a belonging strategist? Well, I work with individuals and organizations, leaders, to help them build more truly inclusive shared spaces, to make sure the places where we live, learn, work, play, and worship are truly accepting environments. And belonging means that you're in the right and suitable place, and you know it. It's a psychological safety that says that you can show up authentic and you'll be accepted. And it's a basic human need. I've come to learn that wherever you are called or aspire to be, you belong. But that belonging, a true sense of belonging, is something we must create for ourselves. And it starts with self-awareness. You've got to really get to know yourself. Take time to spend time on your own. Explore what you like and what you don't like. Explore your hopes, dreams, desires, and your biases. Start getting to know what feels good for you and what doesn't. Body, mind, and soul. True and deeply nourishing self-care helps you know yourself, hear yourself, understand yourself, and come back home to yourself. So I want to give you a roadmap of our conversation today. We're going to use the what, so what, now what framework. And I'm going to walk you through what self-care is. I'm going to talk with you a little bit about what that means for educators today. And then we'll talk about now what, actionable, practical steps that you can begin to take to begin to make self-care a habit. So what is self-care? I want to start with this quote from Ms. Audre Lorde. And she said, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. She said those words in 1988, and they were a rally cry for liberation. This idea that she, a Black queer woman in America, had the right to claim space, to claim identity and bodily autonomy in a world that was hostile to her very existence, was and honestly still is truly revolutionary. For Lord, self-care wasn't a measurement of social equality. Instead, it was an insistence that she mattered and that she was worthy of care. To care for oneself, to rest, recover, and restore ourselves, according to Lord, is essential to doing the hard work of social change. Self-care was an act of resistance. And I want you to know that education is social change. Putting my public health hat on, education might be one of the most significant social determinants of health in this country. Education is at the core of getting to health equity. Education is at the core of getting to economic equality in this country. So the work you do as educators is social change work. And to do this work well, you must first take care of yourself. So what is self-care? There's a lot of definitions out there. It was apparently the 2016 word of the year, but it's been defined as providing adequate attention to one's physical and psychological health and well-being. I've seen it defined as taking an active role to preserve, protect, or improve one's own health and well-being. Taking wellness seriously. Activities and behaviors that nourish us. I've also seen self-care described as your birthright. And in that way, it doesn't require a lot of money. It should be something that we can do simply as our birthright, taking care of our being. A responsibility. I've seen it described as an ethical imperative in many helping professions, including education, and an act of resistance. So what? What does all this mean for you, for us, as educators? Well, we tend to take on the burdens of others. We tend to be overworked, overburdened. We say yes when we should be delegating or saying no. There are a lot of demands on us, folks pulling us in different directions from home to work, inside the classroom, from the administrator's offices. A lot of demands. And the reality is, for many of us, little external reward. No good deed goes unpunished. Once you demonstrate you can do a thing or you're good at a thing, more of that tends to come your way. And then add to that this layer of the pressure and uncertainty brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has truly impacted the stress level of our educators in this country. There was a Minnesota survey that found that teachers, nearly 30% of educators, are thinking about quitting or retiring due to the stress, the workloads, and health risks stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. Another article noted that people are at higher risk for stress when the demands they have are outweighing the resources they have to meet them. A lot of the data have shown that teachers lack the specific resources they need to get support. If they don't have the resources they need, it makes sense that they're at higher risk for stress. Teachers are also reporting concern regarding students' basic needs and other trying situations such as parent job loss, evictions, a lack of food in child households, increased student anxiety, and increased parental stress. So what? It is critical now, perhaps more than ever in your career as an educator, that you develop and implement self-care habits so that you can show up whole for yourself, for your family, and the children and families you serve. Now what? You know the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, blah, 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 blah. I know you've heard that. The challenge, and I challenge you to take this cliche and make it a practice, a way of being, a habit. The quality of your life can be determined by the quality of your habits. If you want to make you a priority, if you truly want to make self-care a priority, the best way you can do that is by making it a habit. I want you to remember the compound effect. Consistency beats intensity every single time. So how do we make self-care a habit? Well, I'd like to offer you a 5-step framework using the acronym HABIT. Focus on your health. Focus on your awareness. Focus on belonging. Focus on intellectual health self-care. And focus on taking inspired self-care action. So health. Health is about physical and physiological well-being, getting enough exercise, movement that feels right to you, getting enough sleep, making sure you're eating properly, making sure you're following up on those medical and dental appointments. Physical and physiological well-being also includes your sexual health and your overall health and well-being. Awareness is about emotional self-care and mindfulness, about observing your thoughts. It's about mental decompression, turning off that teacher brain. It's also about emotional balance and simply being aware of your feelings and emotions, moving into a positive mindset, thinking about what it means to love yourself radically, using affirmations. One of my favorites is that I am enough. I am more than enough. Cultivating a sense of compassion, kindness, and a love for ourselves and others. That's a little element of belonging in awareness. Belonging is about psychological well-being. Belonging and self-care are about developing a support system of human connection so that you have human connection when you need it. It's about developing meaningful relationships and cultivating cultures of belonging. They help us develop a sense of belonging in ourselves and an acceptance for ourselves. Intellectual self-care, it's really focused on this thing that we call the thinking path. As you think, you form beliefs. Those beliefs shape your actions. And those actions lead to results, good or bad. So the way you think and the things you're filling your mind with greatly influence your psychological well-being. Intellectual self-care includes doing things that keep your mind sharp, like your creative outlets, hobbies, puzzles, or even learning about a subject that fascinates you or that you're curious about. You might find reading books or watching movies that inspire you really fuels your mind. Intellectual self-care is about doing things that help you stay mentally connected and healthy. And the T in the HABIT acronym is about taking inspired action. Self-care is a highly individual practice. There's no set prescription for how or when to do it. It is up to you. It's any deliberate activity that we take part in, that we take action on, that improves our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And again, consistency beats intensity every single time. So I want to leave you with a challenge that you'll go on a 5-day self-care habit building journey. And I'll walk you through the steps of that now. On day 1, I want you to try one of these things or something that comes to mind to you in the realm of health. Maybe get into the energy of a morning or night routine where you maybe meal prep for the next couple of days or the next day. where you exercise and move your body in a way that feels good to you. And maybe you use day 1 of the journey to follow through on that medical or dental checkup that you've been putting off. Day 2 is about awareness. I want you to try to find opportunities throughout the day to simply relax your mind and soothe your mind with a simple breathing exercise. My favorite breathing exercise is the 5-7-8 exercise. I want you to do a slow count of 5 as you inhale, holding it at the top for 7 seconds, and then releasing it for a count of 8. And make that release audible when you do this exercise. If I was with you, I'd say, I want to hear you breathing out. So breathe in for 5 seconds, holding at the top, and releasing for 8. I want you to work on practicing separating yourself from work at the end of the day with purposeful and mindful hand washing. Consider taking that 30 seconds and really thinking about what wrapping your day looks like. Set aside 30 minutes to exercise outdoors so that you can get some exposure to nature and sunshine. And on day 2, consider what it might feel like to schedule some time to do nothing. Put nothing on your calendar. On day 3, I want you to focus on the phenomenon of belonging. Be intentionally kind. Demonstrate acceptance of others. Nurturing kindness is fundamental to elevating your own happiness and to brightening your mood and that of those around you. Acts of kindness help us create caring, healing relationships with ourselves and others. Day 4 is about intellectual self-care. Here are a few questions to consider when you think about your intellectual and mental self-care. Number 1, are you making enough time for activities that mentally stimulate you? Are you doing proactive things to help you stay mentally healthy? Consider on this day reading a book, reading a real handheld magazine, sign up for a mini course, do a virtual museum tour, follow your curiosity. This is another place where when you say you don't have time, you might want to carve out a morning or evening ritual. Take 15 minutes in the morning or in the evening to focus on your intellectual self-care. Day 5 is reflection day. Did you take time each day to do something for yourself? What did you learn? What did you like? What did you not like? Remember, self-care is a discipline. It takes intention. It takes setting boundaries. It takes a deep and personal understanding of your priorities, a respect for yourself, and a respect for the people you choose to spend your life with. It is an act of resistance. My challenge for you is go on the 5-day journey. Practice self-care, see what feels right to you. Find what works for you and make it a habit. Self-care is about getting in tune with what you need to feel nourished and cared for in the tiny moments throughout your day, with the goal of coming back to yourself, with the goal of remembering that you belong. I'm here to remind you that you belong in this world, you belong in this field, you belong in this world, and you are a creator of belonging. But you first belong to yourself. Self-care is about giving yourself room and space to show up as a whole person. And by doing so, you give others permission to do the same. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me. I hope that this added value to your life, and I hope that we can keep in touch. Enjoy the rest of your NAEYC conference.